Like, I did some independent films with Master P. A lot of those movies did really well.
I'm ambitious. I'm a hustler. I have my own lane.
That's the thing about comedy. You wake up every day, you don't know if you're funny that day.
In my research, I find myself in circles of people that are strong proponents of the Second Amendment and that can speak on it way better than I can. There's some people who are just trying to be as sharp and exercising their citizenship, and they happen to be a fan of home defense, sport shooting, and firearms. Straight like that. And they're black. And you would be amazed. So, without further ado, I want to bring to the show my guy out in the Midwest. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my man, Joseph Harris.
You had asked me what got me into guns, and I said my first thing that got guns on my radar was Hurricane Katrina. Because I had seen now if you haven't seen When the Levees Break, Spike Lee's Henry, everyone needs to go see that. But one of the things that happened was like when black folk were trying to like escape Katrina, they were getting like held up at the border of these like small cities, and people were pointing guns at them like, no, you guys have to stay in, New Orleans. You can't come into our town. And like people were like shooting at them. You know what I'm saying? There were documented cases of brothers being shot and sisters being shot and gunned down in the street. And I was like, nah, man, like if something happens, if an emergency happens, you can't rely on someone else's goodwill. And at the end of the day, I got a family, and like your first job to me as a man is to protect your family, right? That's right. At the bottom of everything, what you do, like the reason we work and have jobs is, like I want to be able to make sure my kids are taken care of. The lights got to stay on, I work. You know what I mean? We got to get fed, I work. And so like to me, part of that is making sure that my children are safe. Right. And that's the same thing sort of got me into like mild prepping, was looking at Hurricane Katrina. And I said to myself, I actually had some friends and family like, oh, what you got this stuff for? And I started with like just like a little bag of like food and water and stuff. And I was like, man, you think the people down there would have wanted 2 or 3 days worth of food and water? And they were like, oh yeah. And so that's what first got like guns and prepping on my radar. And it was really low, but that's what started it. The idea that you really can't rely on, especially if you're in the wrong jurisdiction and there's not a lot of you around, you can't and would be foolish to rely on the local government to support and protect you, especially if you're a black or brown person in America today. Right. So that's what originally got it on my radar.
So was it coincidental that you lived somewhere where you could build pretty much an arsenal?
Well,
did that factor in? Did that factor in?
That's definitely helpful. The fact that I'm in the Midwest. In the Midwest, guns are like, you can trip and find a gun in the Midwest, right?
Yeah.
The state I'm in right now, they're like a shall issue state, so I got my concealed carry license, when I go
to back up. What is that called? What does that explain that?
A shall issue state, that means like they have to give good reason to not give you a gun.
Oh, okay.
They have to be like, oh, well, here's why.
Right.
Like, when I go get a gun now, let's say, all right, if my paperwork is slow, they'll say, well, you got 4 days and they got to give it to you in 4 days. So, if they don't give you a good reason in 4 days, we'll give you your gun.
How much research did you do before you started collecting?
Big research. So for me, my first gun was a shotgun, was a 12 gauge shotgun. I just wanted something for home defense. I wanted something that would be intimidating and would get people to want to leave me alone and not come to my house. And I wanted something that was practical and something that I didn't have a lot of training. And so I wanted to be comfortable with, okay, here's a shotgun, leave me alone. And that was the first thing I got. I really started doing a lot of research. My second gun was a Glock 17. And I got the Glock because I actually was looking for something that was reliable, something I could get a lot of ammunition for. And Glocks are extremely reliable. If you haven't checked them out, there's like a YouTube page called like Glock Torture Test, where they do ridiculous things to Glocks and see if they'll still work. And most of the time they do. I think the only time it failed was like this dude stuffed chunky peanut butter in it and tried to fire it. But they're notoriously reliable. And that's what I wanted. I wasn't getting something to be like fancy or be like, pretty or like, I didn't want like a silver chrome plated something. I wanted something that if we're in trouble, we can be safe. And I know we'll be safe. And that's why I got the Glock.
So one of our viewers says, "How much of your arsenal stays loaded at any given time?"
Oh, everything's everything stays. Now, I don't keep anything in the chamber in the house because I have kids.
Right.
Like a lot of times, if you look and see where people get in trouble, where like somebody has like an accident at home, it's because they keep one locked and loaded. I don't keep anything in the chamber at home. Now, I keep everything accessible. I keep everything. I keep all my magazines. I got multiple magazines. I got my magazines locked in. But for like my Glock, I keep it high, and I keep it. I don't keep one in the chamber just as another safety precaution.
Right.
And rarely when I'm out and about do I keep one loaded unless I feel like I'm going somewhere where I don't feel safe. But it only takes for a Glock. It takes like half a second to chamber it. So I feel like if I'm in the house, I'm in a situation where it takes more than half a second for me to chamber it. I'm in bigger trouble than the Glock's going to be able to handle anyway.
Now
But
you mentioned your family, right? And a lot of people watching, a lot of us grew up the same way.
Right.
We were traumatized by gun violence.
Right. I'm from the DC area. I'm from PG
Right.
County.
So, which kind of gives us we feel a certain way about guns, right?
Right.
You mentioned you got a family. You sound like you're versed and knowledgeable. How comfortable are you with having those in the house and having your kids know about it? Is it a thing where we sit down and we educate the kids? We train with them? What do you do?
My kids know now. Like my kids right now are 8, 7, and 5, and they know you don't touch daddy's guns for no reason, right?
Mm.
We have conversations about them. These are not toys. These are for that. In fact, my youngest is like, "Why do you have?" She's 5. She says, "Why do you have guns? The police will get you." And I was like, "Funny story about that."
Yeah.
So I was like, number one, daddy has this card that says it's okay for him to have these guns, and number two, I'm an American, so it's okay for me to have these guns. And number three, if bad guys come, for them, it's like I tell them, if bad guys come, you want daddy to make sure I can protect them.
Right.
But but just as like a side note, the canary in the coal mine for all of us should have been, I think it was like 2015, 2016, where the president of the Georgia chapter of the SCLC said black people need to get armed.
Mm.
That's MLK's SCLC. You know what I mean? That's his home. And the president of the Georgia chapter said, "Yo, black people probably need to think of getting armed." And that was like my second wake up call for me. That was when I was like, this is not the Nation of Islam. This is not the new Black Panther Party. This is the SCLC, right? And that president is saying, "Hey, maybe we need to start protecting ourselves." And so that was like my second wake up call.
Now there's a couple of organizations. I'm only familiar. I think most people are familiar with one. I love the name, the National Association of African American Gun. NAGA, yeah. I love the name. I think that was very deliberate.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you a member of any organizations, and how do you feel about us getting armed and joining like NRA?
Definitely should. I think I don't know if we should join the NRA. Like the NRA
I always do it just because.
I don't know if you ever remember like back in the day where you had like the Irish Republican Army, and then they had like their armed branch. To me, the NRA is like the armed branch of the GOP. Like that's their standing army. I don't advise black folks to deal with them at all. Whenever we've had a problem with an issue where they should have spoke up, whether it was like Fidel Castillo or any of these other brothers who legally had guns who got shot, they never spoke up. And so I would never trust them. But there's other organizations like NAGA. There's other black gun clubs that are joining. I think you should definitely join. You shouldn't have a tool and not know how to use it. Yes. And guns are serious business. Like they're not for show. They're not for play. You can end someone's life. You can hurt yourself. You can hurt others. There's a video going around in one of my Facebook groups of this brother who goes to a range and shoots the entire ceiling. Right?
Yeah.
Like, no training, right?
Yeah.
You need to be trained. You need to go somewhere, get someone to show you how to do it. And the best way to do it is, for me, is people who look like you, who sound like you, who have your best interests at heart. Right now, I'm not in a situation where I'm close to a large group of black or brown folks who are organized like that. So what we're doing locally is trying to find 4, 5, 6, or 7 people who can get together and just kind of go out to a range and train together.
Now, the reason why, kind of what I was talking about with NRA is like, because they're that way, I'm like, why not infiltrate and shake it up?
I agree. So I always believe the best way to change something is from the inside. I mean, you have the Democratic Party as the perfect representation of that. They went from being basically the party of slavery to basically the party that fights modern day slavery, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we have infiltrated the Democratic Party, you know? But the NRA to me is at a certain point, a group becomes too far gone. We can't infiltrate the Klan, right?
Right.
You just can't, you know? And the NRA isn't the Klan, but they kissing cousins, man. They real close, you know? And so for that, you know, it's like, would I infiltrate, you know what I'm saying, Fiji? Would I infiltrate, you know, Lambda? No, I'm gonna go join my people, right? I'm gonna go join a black organization. And so at certain points you have to join black orgs. And so that's my thoughts on the NRA. They've never stood up for us. They've never shown that they want to. The only black people they like is black people that don't like black people, which makes you still racist.
Right. Yeah. All right. Derek says, my wife and I own handguns. Why does a person need an entire arsenal of weapons? Are we preparing for some sort of revolutionary war? My short answer to that is, why not? You could be.
So I had a family member ask me that the other day, because I have like 5 or 6, and I got like 2 more that I'm looking at. And they were like, well, you only have 2 hands. I was like, true, but like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to try to hit it with a saw, right? You know what I'm saying? You have different tools for different jobs. You know, I for my safety and for my family's safety, especially when I'm out on some of these country roads, I carry with me, and I'm not going to carry my shotgun. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to have a shotgun in the car and like, you know, that's just, it's ridiculous, right? So for that, I have my Glock. For home defense, I have a semi-automatic shotgun, and I also have a Cal-Tech. I have the Cal-Tech Sub 2000 because I wanted something that my wife could also handle, right? For those who don't have shotgun, the first thing I learned after I shot a shotgun is they're not like the movies.
No.
Can't shoot it one-handed.
No, sir.
Can't shoot it like, if you're like under like 5'2" and like 75 pounds, you're not shooting like 50 shots. Like you need to brace yourself. You need to have some beef on you to be able to handle a shotgun.
Right.
If I didn't want something that my wife couldn't handle, so I got something like the Cal-Tech Sub 2000. I felt it has a brace, it's small, it's handle. She can, you know, I want something she can handle. So I was very specific about what I wanted.
Now, was she a person that was comfortable going in, or you had to really like convince her?
No, she wasn't comfortable going in, and I didn't have to convince her. I think the racists helped convince her.
Oh yeah, your neighbors.
It was one of those things where it was like, you know, and I'm blessed to be like in a good like neighborhood, but like generally speaking, what's going on, you know, she was like, yeah, you know, and then also the pandemic, like we've talked about a lot of things in terms of like prepping, like we've started mildly prepping, like we're not like doomsday, we can't last like 10 years, but you know, if tomorrow, like the other day, like they were working on the water main and we didn't have any water for like a couple hours, and you know, we got a couple gallons in the basement. It's good to have that, you know, but it was one of those things where we were like, do we want to put ourselves at the mercy of people who may or may not care about us? No. Do we want to be able to protect ourselves? Do you want to be able to have protection if I'm not home? Yes. And then, you know, throughout this pandemic, you know, I've said, hey, you know, she's like my conscience. She's my Jiminy Cricket on this. I'm like, hey, babe, you know, I'm thinking about getting another gun. What do you think? Am I being a little ridiculous? She goes, well, you might be, but we're also in a pandemic. And we've never been in a pandemic before, so maybe she'll go get another 200 rounds of ammo, you know?
Right.
And
another 200 rounds. Yeah. Talk that talk, man.
You know, you're just trying to be safe, man, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think you have to be like some Rambo type dude to want to go out and protect your family, right?
Absolutely.
Have to be, you know, I mean, looking at the world today and how Trump is not only weaponizing the like our armed forces, but weaponizing like regular like
law enforcement. Yeah.
Not just law enforcement, like militias, like like these. I have seen plenty of posts where people have been saying like, "Yo, Trump, we're here for you." You know, I've been at protests down here where like folks have shown up with guns, right? Peaceful protests where folks on the other side showed up with guns, like trying to intimidate. You know, you want to be able to protect yourself.
Yeah,
and I think every black person, honestly, I think we're at the point now where every black person in America should strongly consider getting themselves armed and trained.
All right, say that again so I can use that for a sound bite for a promo. Say it one more time.
I think we're at a point in America where every black person needs to be armed and trained right now. I think it's the responsible thing to do.
It's the responsible thing to do. And the reason why I brought you on, man, was to kind of get people, we have to start getting comfortable
Definitely.
seeing brothers and sisters armed.
Yeah.
And we have
thing, like I said, I'm not like some super.
You're not.
I'm college educated, got a good job, wife and kids. You know, I want the American dream. I'm not like digging holes and hiding gold, but I'm seeing what's happening to people that look like me.
Yeah.
And seeing, you know, you posted something like a couple months ago. Because I watch your posts all the time. You posted something like tongue in cheek, as you often do. You're like, man, if you still think we have an election in November, you're childish. And like, it was one of those things where I was like, ha ha ha, oh, cry. You know what I mean? Like, that's funny, but it's not though. But, you know, and we're seeing like a lot of seeds being planted right now. And you don't have to be like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist to be like, oh, something's off right now. Like, we're in weird territory. And when you're in weird territory, you need to make sure that at the very least that you're protected and your family is protected. And that's the reason why I have handguns and a few other weapons to make sure that we're safe.
Now, how often do you get to train?
So I used to get out quite often. Between March now, none, because pandemic, right? But starting next week, the gun range out here opened back up, and we found a way where we think we'll be properly protected. We have a couple masks, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going out actually next week to go out to the range. My wife has a handgun that she wants to shoot, and I have a couple of things I need to shoot. Because often with guns, you also have to break them in. A lot of people don't know that. You have to break them in so they work properly.
From the Peanut Gallery, can you suggest a place where folks can buy guns from black dealers, maybe online? Is that a thing?
I wish. I'm looking for that myself. Like where I'm at right now, the guy I buy guns from, I know that he's a Trump supporter. Like I no doubt in my mind.
Wow.
But I'm in a small town red state. This is where I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Like
so what do you do? Do you put on that face? Do you be hell yeah, shit yeah? Do you
I'm me. I'm just who I am, you know? And you know, I'm sure in his mind I'm one of the good ones. Who knows? Right. You know what I'm saying? But I buy so he's happy. He actually treats me better than some of the folks who come in there just to skim because they skim and I buy. But I would love, just like we have the Naga, I would love to find like a black gun store that I could support. But you know, right now where I'm at, that's not possible.
Yeah.
But if I could find one, I definitely would.
Now, I when you were off, I had to, I was talking to myself and I was like, I want to show the picture, but I had to get your permission to show your collection. Are you open to that?
No.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
Everybody don't need to see that. But I have, like I said, I have a Glock and I do have a semi-auto shotgun. I have a Kel-Tec, a few other things, and some other things. I want to get a 22 rifle for hunting small game. I want to get a hunting rifle for large game because, like I said, small town red state when in Rome. But I also have a few other things I want to get for self-protection purposes. Have you
hunted? Like, is
not
that
yet?
Because I know those are two different types of shooting. That's what I've read.
But no, that's probably this winter I plan on it.
Oh, you will be out there for real in the box, in the bird box.
Hey, listen. Hopefully, we'll see.
For 7 hours.
But like I said, to me, it's another part of the toolkit. Just being comfortable with different types of tools. Just like, the first time you were in tech ed, and I don't even know if they do tech ed anymore. Like, it's like, oh, shoot, all this moving stuff, hands, saws. Ooh. But by the 20th time you go into tech ed, it's just like, I bet my goggles, and that's how I want to get around guns. That's how I want my wife to be. That's how I want my kids to be. I want everyone to be comfortable with them as tools. And right now, comfortable for my kids means don't get near them, don't touch them. To leave daddy's stuff alone. But for me and my wife, we want to get proficient with the ones that we have.
Right. All right. Well, there it is, folks. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, and I'm gonna have you on again, talk about some other stuff because it's still professor. Is it doctor?
No. I'm working on it. I'm about a year and a half from that. You know what I'm saying? I'm knocking on the door.
All right. Joe Harris, ladies and gentlemen, from the Midwest, American citizen and patriot, gun owner, and junior prepper.
I'm putting that on my business card.
Citizen and Patriot. That your prep game is official though. Yeah, I got at least 9 months of cereal from the pictures I see.
Yeah, we working on it. We working on it, brother. We working on it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing where this apocalypse is happening, and I pack the peoples up, pack the crib up, and we walking and we showing up for that cereal.
Come holler at me, man. I got a room in the basement for guests.
Yeah.
And I got an extra gun for you, so we'll be all right.
All right. Peace, man. I'll holler at you.
All right, brother. Peace.
I don't care if it is a closet. You